The hour, and we start with these staggering statistics. More than 3,000 dead in a day. Nearly 223,000 new infections. Yet President Trump is focused on another number, a fake one, by the way, where he thinks he can overturn the election. The 17 states that signed onto a ludicrous lawsuit aimed at overturning the election and effectively destroying American democracy while Americans die. And while so many Americans are separated from loved ones, their lives turned upside down, their kids' education in limbo, President Trump continues to throw holiday parties largely unmasked and with all the hallmarks of a super spreader event. Here the president is getting cheered on as he is talking about these lawsuits and pushing members of the Supreme Court and high courts to overturn the election for himself. And these maskless idiots are spreading coronavirus tight in a room. Jeff Bennett tweeting here, spare a thought for the White House residence staff and Secret Service agents whose lives are endangered by this wanton recklessness and flouting of COVID precautions. We had a doctor on the show earlier this morning who talks about patients that she has lost, that if they had received the vaccine, if it had come sooner, or if perhaps her patient had the special meds that President Trump and Rudy Giuliani received, perhaps that patient would be alive. This is the presidency that many Americans voted for, but I believe are victims of disinformation. We know this, actually. The AP's Jonathan Lemire and the BBC's Katty Kay are still with us, and joining the conversation we have MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle and New York Times Washington bureau chief Elizabeth Bumiller. Good to have you all on board this morning. Willie.
Yeah, Mike Barnicle, as we look at that image out of the White House yesterday, it's a snapshot, that Hanukkah party in the White House last night, a snapshot of where we are in terms of presidential leadership. It's a president who's continued to hold some of the few gatherings in the city of Washington because of obvious COVID precautions being taken elsewhere. He leads by example. He's ignored this from the beginning. It's on tape from Bob Woodward. We know this. But now, as we plunge into these terrible, terrible new daily records, more than 3,000 dead yesterday, nearly 223,000 new cases, new infections of coronavirus yesterday. It's terrible. It's an ongoing, rolling tragedy, and it's completely predictable. Anthony Fauci and other doctors, and every doctor who's come on this show has been telling us since February and March that this is the way it was going to play out, and yet from the very top, nothing being done to thwart it.
You know, Willie, the number yesterday, as you just mentioned, 3,054 Americans dead to the COVID virus. And last night, the display at the Hanukkah party in the White House, people unmasked. You get tired of saying it's amazing. And we say, boy, that's an amazing thing that occurred multiple times a day in this presidency. But I was thinking, when I saw that number flash up on the screen last night, 3,054, it's a shocking number in a single day. And I was reverting in my mind back to September 11th, now nearly 20 years ago, when well over 2,000 Americans were killed in an office building, a mass murder. People died for the crime of going to work that day. What happened then? America stood still. Americans were shocked, they were fearful, but I think most importantly, they were listening. And they listened to President George W. Bush, who stood on the rubble, gave the country some direction in the 2 to 3 weeks that followed September 11th. That's the important thing, gave us direction, and we listened. What direction have we ever had from this president in this White House about a killer amongst us? We have had no direction. We have had misdirection. We have had instructions not to wear a mask. A mask. He turned it into something political, a life-saving device, a simple mask, made it an element of politics, and people died as a result.